Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, explored deep within the human psyche, uncovering a powerful concept: the archetypes. Among these, the archetype of the king stands as one of the most profound symbols of leadership, authority, and the human capacity for self-mastery. The king archetype is not limited to monarchy or political leadership. It represents the inner ruler, the part of ourselves that governs our own lives with strength, vision, and a deep sense of responsibility. A king is someone who holds the power to bring order to chaos, make difficult decisions, and lead with clarity and purpose. Jung's concept of the king isn't about domination or control over others. It's about ruling over oneself. It's about having a clear sense of purpose and direction, of balancing power with wisdom and embracing the responsibility that comes with it. A king understands that true leadership comes from within, from an inner strength and conviction that guides actions. The king archetype also highlights the importance of individuation, Jung's term for the process of becoming your true, whole self. To embody the king, you must confront your fears, integrate all parts of your psyche, and rise above external chaos. This process allows you to lead with integrity, guiding not only yourself but others towards greater purpose and meaning. But how do you step into this archetype? How do you begin thinking with the power and purpose of a king? The answer lies in understanding the deeper layers of the king within and learning to cultivate his qualities in every aspect of your life. To truly understand the king archetype, we must first examine the nature of authority. The king, in both its psychological and symbolic form, isn't just someone who holds power. It's someone who embodies authority, both within and without. Jung believed that true authority comes from within. A king doesn't need to prove himself through force or manipulation. His power is derived from his ability to rule over his own thoughts, actions, and emotions. Inner authority means mastering yourself, cultivating self-awareness, and remaining unwavering in your convictions. It's not about external approval, but an unshakable belief in your own purpose. On the outside, the king is seen as a leader who makes decisions that affect those around him, but this external authority can only be genuine if it is rooted in the internal mastery of the self. The king doesn't seek validation from others, he validates his own path through his actions. He acts in accordance with his values and principles, and in doing so, inspires others to follow. The tension between inner and outer authority is essential in understanding the psychology of the king. The more you strengthen your inner authority, the more effortlessly your external influence grows. You begin to lead with purpose rather than by force. You begin to embody the qualities of a true leader: decisiveness, wisdom, and compassion. This process of self-mastery and self-empowerment is what allows the king to create meaningful change, not just in his own life, but in the lives of others. The king leads from within, and when you cultivate that inner authority, you'll find your external world aligning with your inner vision. Every archetype comes with its shadow side, and the king is no exception. While the king represents authority, wisdom, and purpose, his shadow embodies tyranny, selfishness, and a disconnect from the people he leads. The king's shadow is the part of us that seeks power for personal gain, exploits others, and becomes consumed by the desire for control. Carl Jung believed that the shadow is not something to be rejected, it is something to be integrated. The king's shadow often manifests when we neglect the responsibility that true leadership demands. A king who fails to confront his shadow risks falling into arrogance, ego-driven decisions, and the abuse of power. The king's shadow also reveals itself when we refuse to confront our inner fears. The fear of inadequacy or failure can lead to overcompensation, where the king becomes a dictator, manipulating those around him to feel secure in his position. He becomes driven by the need to prove himself, rather than serving the higher purpose of leading with integrity. But the shadow is not all negative. It is through facing and integrating the shadow that the king becomes whole. Embracing the shadow allows the king to recognize his imperfections, learn from them, and lead with humility. It's about accepting the parts of ourselves that we may want to ignore or repress, those parts that, when acknowledged, allow us to become more authentic leaders. When you embrace your shadow, you strengthen your authority. You stop pretending to be perfect and start leading from a place of honesty, knowing that true power comes not from controlling everything, but from understanding and owning your own darkness. In doing so, you can lead with a sense of balance, wisdom, and self-awareness. A true king is not someone who makes decisions impulsively or without thought. The king's wisdom comes from his ability to reflect, to weigh the consequences, and to make decisions based on a deep understanding of the greater good. A king does not rule by emotion or force. He leads through careful deliberation, guided by principles, vision, and a profound sense of responsibility. Jung saw the king archetype as deeply tied to wisdom. Wisdom not only in knowledge, but in knowing when to act and when to remain still. The king understands that his decisions affect not only his own life, but the lives of those he leads. Every choice carries weight, and the true king knows this deeply. He does not act on a whim. He acts from a place of clarity and understanding. The decision-making process for a king is rooted in a vision. He doesn't focus on short-term gratification. He considers the long-term impact of his actions. This vision is what sets him apart. It's the foundation of his leadership. A king's wisdom comes from his ability to see beyond the immediate moment and to understand the broader context of his actions. However, wisdom also comes from experience. A true king has walked through struggles, faced challenges, and learned from his past mistakes. He does not rely on theory alone. He uses his life's lessons to guide him. The king archetype teaches us that wisdom is not something that is handed to us. It is earned through the process of facing our fears, learning from our mistakes, and cultivating a deep understanding of both ourselves and the world around us. In every decision, the king asks, how does this serve the greater good? By aligning his actions with this principle, he becomes a true leader, wise, powerful, and purposeful. The king archetype isn't just about wielding power. It's about embracing the responsibility that comes with it. Leadership, in its truest form, is rooted in service. A king is not above others. He is in service to the people he leads. This sense of duty is what separates the true king from the tyrant. Carl Jung recognized that with power comes the responsibility to ensure balance, order, and harmony. The king's purpose isn't to glorify himself, but to create an environment where all can thrive. His leadership is for the collective good, not his personal gain. The true king understands that his actions affect everyone within his domain. Whether it's in a personal relationship, a community, or a nation, his decisions create ripples that can either uplift or harm. The responsibility of the king is to lead with integrity and to make decisions that align with the greater good, not just his desires. The king must ask, how do my actions serve others? This responsibility doesn't only mean making fair and just decisions, but also recognizing the weight of his influence. He understands that leadership is a privilege, one that requires constant self-reflection, humility, and accountability. This sense of responsibility is often what leads the king to confront his shadow and confront difficult decisions. It's not about being popular or seeking approval. It's about doing what is right, even when it's difficult. By taking responsibility, the king creates a legacy not based on personal success, but on how he positively impacted those around him. True leadership is about serving others, not just ruling over them. When you embrace the king's responsibility, you lead with purpose and power, knowing that your actions serve the greater good. A king is not simply someone who reacts to the world around him. He is someone who creates his own vision and leads with unwavering clarity toward that vision. The king archetype represents the ability to see the bigger picture, to hold a long-term vision, and to make decisions that serve that vision, no matter the obstacles that arise. Carl Jung believed that to embody the king, one must cultivate a strong sense of purpose. The king has a clear understanding of his values, his goals, and his mission. His vision guides his decisions, and it provides direction for himself and those he leads. Without a clear vision, a leader risks wandering aimlessly, pulled in every direction by external pressures. But when the king has a vision, he is grounded and centered. Every action he takes aligns with his overarching purpose. This vision is not just a goal, it is a living, breathing force that moves through the king, shaping every aspect of his life. The king doesn't simply lead by telling others what to do, he leads by embodying the vision, by living it every day. His actions inspire others to follow, because they see the clarity of his direction and the passion with which he pursues it. The true power of the king lies in his ability to remain focused, to see beyond immediate distractions, and to stay committed to his vision. He does not waver in the face of adversity. Instead, he uses challenges as opportunities to refine and strengthen his purpose. If you want to lead with power and purpose, you must first cultivate a clear and compelling vision for your life. This vision will be the guiding star that leads you through both calm and storm. And just like the king, you will inspire those around you. The king archetype is one of the immense strength, not just physical strength, but mental and emotional resilience. Courage is a cornerstone of the king's leadership, but this courage is not about being fearless. It's about facing fear and adversity with calm and clarity. Carl Jung recognized that to truly embody the king, one must have the courage to confront life's challenges head-on. The king doesn't shy away from difficulty, he doesn't back down when faced with obstacles, but instead rises to meet them. This courage comes from a deep understanding that every challenge is an opportunity for growth, and every setback is simply a lesson to be learned. The true king doesn't seek comfort or avoid hardship. He embraces the trials that come his way, knowing that his strength is forged in the fire of adversity. When you embody the king archetype, you develop the courage to face your own fears, confront uncomfortable truths, and take action even when the outcome is uncertain. This courage is also rooted in integrity. The king does not act out of selfishness or ego, he acts with clarity, knowing that his decisions will affect others. He has the courage to make tough choices, to stand by his values, and to remain true to his purpose, even when it's difficult. When you develop the courage of the king, you stop shrinking from life's challenges. You begin to stand tall, face adversity with strength, and step into your role as a leader in your own life. Every fear you face, every challenge you overcome, only strengthens you. In the end, the true measure of a king is not in the wealth he amasses, the power he wields, or the territory he controls, but in the legacy he leaves behind. The king archetype teaches us that leadership is about creating something greater than ourselves, something that lasts beyond our time. A king's legacy is not built on his titles or accomplishments, but on the way he has impacted the lives of others. Carl Jung emphasized that the highest form of leadership comes from the ability to serve the collective good. A true king doesn't lead for personal glory or recognition. He leads to create a better world. His decisions are made not for immediate reward, but with an eye toward long-term impact. His actions are guided by a sense of responsibility, not just to himself, but to the people and the world he serves. The king's legacy is built on integrity. When you lead with integrity, you inspire others to do the same. Your actions, decisions, and interactions with others reflect your deepest values and beliefs. You don't compromise your principles for convenience or personal gain. Instead, you act with honor, creating a ripple effect that influences those around you. In every moment, we are creating the legacy we will leave behind. Whether in small everyday decisions or in moments of great challenge, we are shaping the impact we'll have on the world. The king teaches us that leadership is about more than just what we accomplish. It's about how we carry ourselves, how we treat others, and the way we stand firm in our values. When you lead with integrity, purpose, and wisdom, you create a legacy that will endure. That is the true power of the king, a life lived with meaning, a legacy that echoes through time.